Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs, and welcome back to Minecraft RTX Survival. I hope you guys are having a good day. I've been doing a bit of enchanting here at the house. Came away from the nether with 37 levels in the last episode, so I had plenty of room to enchant, and it's a good thing too, because I managed to get myself a respiration helmet and some depth strider boots. That is right, my friends. Today we are going out to an ocean monument, and we are going to try raiding it in Minecraft RTX. I'm really excited about this. This is one of the challenges. I'm going to leave the diamonds in here just so I can enchant some more diamond gear later on. This is one of the challenges I've been looking forward to purely because of the atmosphere of RTX, the lighting that we're going to be getting from all of the sea lanterns in there, and wanting to get hold of more sea lanterns in general for the rest of the series anyway. So I've been doing a little bit of potion brewing, of course. From the last episode, we came back from the nether fortress with plenty of blazes, and I've been working on some blaze farm designs off camera in a creative test world so that I can figure out how best to use that blaze spawner. And yes, there are plenty of blaze farm designs out there, I'm sure, but I kind of wanted to work on my own thing and see if I could puzzle it out myself. So anyway, I got myself a bunch of water breathing and night vision potions in the last episode. I brewed up a few more night vision in the meantime, and I think I've located where an ocean monument is going to be. So I'll take my boat out there. I'll probably bring a few more torches, bits and pieces, and a bucket so that we can hopefully refill our air if we need to in an emergency down there. But with a few minutes of water breathing, hopefully we shouldn't be doing too badly. I guess there might be a couple of other things I would want to bring with me, maybe like a strength potion or something like that, but overall I think I'm fairly well kitted out to take on an ocean monument and the Elder Guardian that lives within. I'm also going to bring a hoe with me because I'm pretty sure hoes are the ideal tool for dealing with sponges, and it might actually be good to pick up a few sponges while we're there for future projects, and then maybe in the fullness of time we'll turn the ocean monument into a guardian farm later as well, because it'd be great to get renewable sea lanterns for the rest of the series. For now though, I'm fairly certain if we head out in this direction, I spotted an ocean monument as I was roaming around looking for a desert biome, kind of in the southwesterly direction, I guess that is, or maybe southeast. I forget exactly which direction I'm looking at here, but if that is north, then that is going to be east, of course. Yes, so southeast it is. And on my way, I appear to have picked up a friend, or at least he was following me for a minute there. There's a Vindicator with a patrol captain banner. At least I assume that's what it is. It's just a white banner here in Bedrock Edition, but he's got a white banner, but he's all on his own. And I sort of feel like that means he's surrendering. I don't know for certain, but it's really odd to find those patrol leaders out on their own like this. I always thought that they spawned with a patrol of greater numbers than just one, but maybe the others all fell in a cave or something. I'm not entirely certain what's happened to him. Anyway, I'm going to make my way a little bit further out this way. We'll hit the ocean and we'll go looking for this ocean monument, and I'll bring you guys back in once we've been able to find it. Well, if memory serves and the screenshot I took is accurate, we should be on our way over there right now. Next to this frozen ocean biome with all of the icebergs poking up out of the ice, we should find the first ocean monument of the RTX series. And one of the things that always strikes me about looking at stuff underwater in RTX is how crazy the refraction is, and how everything looks kind of weirdly distorted and flattened if you see it under the surface, and this ocean monument is no exception. Let me get a little bit closer. I'm trying not to get mining fatigue too early here, but there it is. There we go, and there's the jump scare right as we get out of the boat and onto dry land, or dry-ish. There's ice everywhere here. One thing I picked up from a recent misadventure at an ocean monument is to set your spawn point somewhere nearby in case you lose any of your stuff. But look at this. Look at that's the sea lanterns out there on the surface of the water, and you can barely see it. It looks kind of squashed and distorted thanks to that that whole refraction effect. It's like looking at a swimming pool in the real world and thinking that the bottom doesn't look all that deep, and then you dive in and you go underwater and you realize quite how deep it is. And we are about to go pretty deep here right now because it's time to drink our night vision potion, and wow, that is certainly lighting stuff up underneath here. We'll drink the water breathing as well, and let's see how far we can get into the ocean monument. We've got guardians shooting at fish all around us, and that should hopefully allow us to get into this around here, and oh, instantly a sponge room. Oh, incredible stuff. Okay, well, hopefully the night vision should be giving you guys a little bit of an extra chance to see things clearly down here. And oh boy, it looks like we've got a few guardians around here, but The Thorns effect not really kicking in as I attack them, which is good. Our goal here, of course, to take down the Elder Guardians, which means we'll need to find our way to the front wings of the monument, and I think if we swim around here a little bit... Nope, dead-ended. Okay, well, we're going to want to bring the sea lanterns home with us, but I think... Oh, here's one. This should be one in here. Yes, there it is. Okay, and thankfully the monument really not spawning all that many Guardians right now. Obviously, we will want to bring some of those sea lanterns home with us. That's one Elder down and one wet sponge as well. The trophy item from that. Looks like we got a couple of sponge rooms in here, though. So yes, we'll want to bring the sea lanterns home with us, but we will not be able to harvest any of those until we can get rid of mining fatigue. Some people like to drink a bucket of milk and get rid of the effect that way. Personally, I'm happy to just defeat all of the Elder Guardians in here, and we can always look for some more in the future if we want to find them. This is going to be Elder Guardian room number 2, and it looks like he is on the outside of the room here. Fantastic. We can swim around into the arm of the monument and deal with him, and then dodge behind this pillar. Get you from behind. There you go. Haha. All right, well, once we get lasered a couple more times, there we go. We are good with that one as well. So just the one at the very tip of the monument left to deal with. How are we doing for time here? 2 minutes of mining fatigue left and plenty of water breathing. This should be nice and easy to do as long as we can find that third Elder Guardian and finish the job here. Looks like we have multiple sponge rooms in this monument, though, which is a sight for sore eyes after how difficult it is to find sponges sometimes. That one looks like a dead end as well. This looks like a dead end here, and yeah, a third sponge room. Oh my goodness, we are lucking out here, I think. And look at how shiny the sponges are and reflective, because they are waterlogged right now. That's really, really cool looking. And even the prismarine bricks and stuff seem to have quite a shiny effect to them, which is nice. I wonder what we can do with that a little bit later on once we've acquired a bunch more of it. I'm hoping we can get to this last Elder Guardian before the mining fatigue effect refreshes, and it looks like this might be our way up into the final room. Yes, there it is, the final Elder Guardian waiting for us here, and all we got to do is swim on through it and spam click a little bit. There we go. That is 3 Elder Guardians taken down in about 4 minutes. Not too shabby, and once that mining fatigue effect wears off, we'll be able to start collecting some of the blocks from the monument itself. Starting, I think, with some of the sea lanterns, but I'm also interested in getting hold of some of those sponges. So I'm getting up into the sponge room here. This is sponge room number 1. I think there are 3 total in the monument that I've seen, at least. And hopefully once the mining fatigue effect wears off in about 30 seconds, we'll be able to grab a bunch of the sponges here. And then the question remains, what do we do with this monument? Bedrock Edition obviously has some different mechanics for spawning Guardians than Java Edition does, and they spawn at very specific locations throughout the monument, which is clear from having explored this. We really didn't encounter that many solo Guardians compared to the ones that you find on Java. So I'm thinking maybe we can exploit this, turn it into some sort of technical farm in future. I would also really like to try drying out the interior of the monument at some point and seeing how effective that feels, how it looks to have this wide kind of cavernous space, but to be honest, I don't know if that's going to be necessary for making the farm or if it's going to kind of inhibit the progress of a farm if we decide to do one. So I'm curious what you folks think. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can find out about Guardian farms on Bedrock Edition in the meantime. I'm also very excited to get hold of some Dark Prismarine, because this stuff does not come cheap if you don't have a squid farm and a Guardian farm, so I'll grab as much of this as possible if the night vision and water breathing potions allow, and we should be able to refill our air supply if need be anyway. And it seems like we had 2 sponge rooms basically back to back here, so we are not going to be short of sponges for projects like this if we want to dry out an area. That's also part of the reason I'm considering drying out this monument in the first place. It's just that we have the resources to do it now. But there we go, getting hold of some more Dark Prismarine. We've got a stack of wet sponges now as well, so that's a really great start. And I'm considering letting the night vision go and just renewing the water breathing effect so you can see a little bit more about what it's like to see the whole monument in RTX now that we don't have to worry about the threat of disposing of the Elder Guardians, because I think it's going to be really, really cool in here if we have sea lanterns lighting our path around the monument and these other rooms end up being a little bit darker. Oh my goodness, all 3 of the sponge rooms were actually back to back in this top part of the monument. That's wild. Okay, we'll get the sponge from this one as well, and I think we may even have had another sponge room elsewhere then, because I don't really remember these all being at the top section of the monument here. But I'm getting hold of more of the dark prismarine, and the water breathing and night vision should be wearing off any second. So once they've done that, we can go exploring around the rest of the monument and see what everything looks like without the night vision on. And I've renewed the water breathing effect, but this is what we're looking at without night vision. The night vision just wore off, and this is already feeling very, very spooky in here now. We've got some very bright light coming from down there where the sea lanterns are glowing. I'm just taking out a few more of these dark prismarine blocks before we continue to swim on down there, and it's clear that several of the rooms throughout the monument are going to be super bright, and the rest of it is going to feel gloomy and dim and spooky by comparison. Let's swim on down there, and oh wow, it really highlights the cyan everywhere. The sea lanterns, as we've seen elsewhere in the series, let me check that I'm getting these with Silk Touch, are such a clean light source that they really amplify the light of the surrounding blocks and the color of the surrounding blocks, and so they're going to be perfect for us to do tricks with light later in the series, but taking these out of the room genuinely instills the whole thing with a shadowy feel that is really, really cool. Your eyes sort of adjust to it over time, but yeah, taking the lanterns out of here shockingly changes how dark it is in here. That's super cool. And this is what it would have been like if we were swimming around the monument without that night vision effect, which I honestly wish that I had done the first time around, but I was just so concerned about taking care of the Elder Guardians so we didn't have to worry about them. I think looking around an ocean monument like this almost feels like the intended experience somehow. It's got that gloomy underwater vibe to it. It really feels like you're exploring somewhere that you're not supposed to be as a land-dwelling person, and I think this central core in the middle here that obviously contains the gold blocks that we'll be grabbing before we make any more moves here is genuinely a sight to behold underwater as we're swimming around the monument. Sadly, the helmet that I enchanted earlier didn't end up with Aqua Affinity, so I feel like we are potentially losing out on a little bit of time here thanks to how long it takes to mine the blocks down here, but I want to take home as much dark prismarine and as many sea lanterns as I can, and we got rid of the Elder Guardians nice and quickly, so we certainly have enough time to do it with a couple more potions under our belt. Yeah, without any sea lanterns and that dark prismarine core in the center of the room here, the back of the monument feels very ghostly and different. We're up to 18 sea lanterns so far, and really all I need to do to find more of them is swim towards the light. Look at that. Look at that projecting the light onto the side wall here. It's so cool finding that the lighting effects in RTX actually allow for stuff like that to happen. It's kind of crazy, and you could put in obviously like different projections almost and things you wanted to do. Some people have asked me if I could try and demonstrate the camera obscura effect at some point, and I'm gonna give that a go in a future episode, I think, and having a decent supply of sea lanterns is going to be a really neat way of doing that. Having removed the lanterns from the walls of this room as well and just leaving the uplights on that central pillar, again, super cool effect. The whole thing, the floor feels darker, the ceiling gets lighter. It's a really neat way of looking at these rooms, and I hear a few drowned kind of lurking around the outside of the monument here at this point, but you know what? I really haven't encountered that many Guardians. Bedrock certainly seems to have it a little bit easier with these ocean monument raids. If anything, I might have over-prepared for this one, bringing all of my best gear with me, but I didn't know what to expect. We're up to over half a stack of sea lanterns now, so we're definitely doing pretty well here. I reckon we can maybe get 48 or so out of the monument before we have to move on here, but we've come away with more than a stack of sponges too, which I think is an absolute win for us. But I think you guys have heard enough from me at this stage. I'm going to finish tearing out my favorite materials from the monument here, and I'll see you guys back on the surface for the journey home. Okay, back on the surface, we are back at our little icy way station. In fact, I see a couple of blocks floating out here on the surface of the water that I might just try and grab in case they were especially significant. I think those are just some prismarine bricks that I wrangled from the surface over here. But yes, we have a bunch of sea lanterns, more than I expected to get, actually, if I hop out onto the ice just so I'm not getting disturbed by any of the Guardians. We have over a stack of sea lanterns. We've actually got 84 sea lanterns there and 4 stacks and change of the dark prismarine, plus almost 2 stacks of sponges. We got the gold blocks there, and we still have night vision. So I could always hop back into the water and take another quick look around here if we wanted to, because it seems like the Guardians aren't really too much trouble. And once again, under the water is a really great place to bust out the night vision. It really does make a bit of a difference here in RTX, because despite the fact that it kind of evens out the atmosphere around us, we're still getting a little bit of that distance, like, fade off of the light, which actually I think works really nicely in this context. We are actually seeing almost like a flashlight in front of us, and yeah, it's definitely illuminating the drowned who are coming up right up close to me. But that doesn't mean that the monument itself looks any less exciting, which is great, because in regular night vision, in Java Edition at least, or I guess probably in Bedrock Edition if we removed the RTX effect, yeah, everything just looks so kind of pale and like ordinarily lit. I really feel like night vision plus RTX is a good combo. It keeps the atmosphere whilst also allowing you to see a little bit better in these underwater areas. Back on the surface, it's almost unbearably bright though, and I think I'm probably going to head on home. We'll drop the zombie flesh so I can pick my bed back up, and I'm going to see what we can do now that we've got hold of a whole bunch of sea lanterns. I think we've got some good lighting effects tests we can do. And here we are back at the house, where I've set up a bunch of sea lanterns underneath the different colors of stained glass. And already we're starting to see a spectrum emerging on the smooth quartz blocks, actually. I decided to use smooth quartz for this, and it's actually a really good block to show some of the reflectivity as well. But it's really quite fascinating. As soon as the sun starts to dip behind the house, the shadow cast by the house actually allows these lights to really come into their own and start to shine through with the spectrum of colors that I've laid out here. And on either end, there is a sea lantern underneath some black stained glass, just to kind of illustrate that black and gray and those kind of grayscale things aren't really doing a great deal to add any kind of color to the light, or if they do, it's incredibly subtle and graying, and what it really does is just absorb some of the light and allow for some dimmer light to come from a brighter light source. If I take this out now, that actually significantly brightens, and that's something we could even use if we wanted to have some slightly dimmer lights set up in some sort of like darker area. But look at this now. Look at this come alive as the sun sets, and this is really where I want to start working with a broader spectrum of color. Obviously, now I'm down to, well, 7 sea lanterns here. I have another stack of them inside the house, but it's really going to take some time to acquire the amount of sea lanterns we want to do if we're going to... Oh, there it goes. At night, the rendering engine actually changes the state of everything briefly, and that's really what triggers all of this. And of course, I don't know for certain if that's going to happen inside or underground. I presume not. I haven't really noticed it in those environments. Instead, it's mostly just to do with the sun ultimately setting, and then for whatever reason it just pulls out this completely different way of rendering stuff for nighttime on the surface. Anyway, look at that, by the way. Look at the reflection of all of those colored lamps in the side of the nether portal, and reflective materials are just going to pop so much when you add in stuff like this. Let's take out that glass pane now, the black glass on the side there, and have a quick comparison between that there and the one on the other side. Honestly, it's very, very subtle, but you can tell that the top of that half there is lighter than the top of that half. So we're definitely reducing the amount of light that is shining through. And maybe if I pop another black stained glass on top of that, it might get even darker still. So there's definitely some stuff we can do with that. I just love the vibrancy of these colors, the spectrum, the rainbow that we're able to make just using white light sources and stained glass in this. This is going to be how we end up lighting a lot of the builds, when in some cases it's going to be possible to combine the different light source blocks, the emerald, lapis, and redstone blocks that I showed off in a previous video, but in some cases we're just going to want to have one light source and one color block to really dial in the color that we want from the 16 colors available to us in stained glass, and we can combine these a little bit more readily. Let's rearrange a couple of these actually, just to show off quite what we can do with this. Let's say now we put blue next to orange and see how that affects the environment. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. The orange is kind of being overpowered by the magenta that's being made by the red and the blue, because of course they occupy opposite sides of the color wheel. They are complementary colors, and that can mean that the orange sort of gets drowned out. Naturally, putting blue and yellow together is going to merge in the middle to make green, but we have a bit more of a subtle green effect going on there, and naturally if we add some more of the green blocks next to that, it's really going to be emphasized by this. If we put the light blue down here by the pink, I think light blue and pink are actually going to be really critical colors to some of the cyberpunk build stuff I want to do in future, so we're going to keep our eye on that combination. Likewise, the green-pink combo over here is really going to feel quite stark, and they managed to keep their respective shades here while some of the other colors down this end start to combine a little bit more. And throwing in cyan and purple halfway up there, yeah, you can really see where the colors start to separate out and where the colors start to combine, and I think it's really fun to just play around with different combinations here and see what we can come up with. I might also rearrange it back to the way it was and show some different materials with this row of colors here as well, while we're not being too heavily harassed by mobs in this area. Let's try putting some iron blocks in front of this, because iron is of course set up to be a much more reflective block in this RTX PBR resource pack, and the highlights here in the iron, the kind of the bevels, I guess you'd call them, are really popping out here. But what you end up with behind that is something that doesn't reflect the light and the color from this as much as it does the lights behind us. So what you could end up doing is maybe having these catch the light of the color that's being, you know, shone at them from the surrounding area, but really show a little bit of the reflectivity of the scene behind you in the white light that's coming through here. And I think that's really because these darker edges aren't going to reflect as much color back, because they start out darker, and they're only really going to be there to reflect a lot of the scenery behind you, because white light can be reflected off of this slightly darker surface more effectively than the other colors can. But doesn't that just feel like the front cover of like a VHS from the 1990s? It really does to me. Anyway, having grown up in that era, I guess maybe helps. But there we go. This is a really cool way of testing some of this stuff out, having this spectrum laid out on the floor that we can play around with and test different materials against. I think is going to be a really effective way of messing with light for the future of this series. And we are going to need to think a little bit more seriously about which color of light we want to use, because the materials we choose to build with are going to make a difference here. Consider what happens if we place this warped wood, which has the very kind of cyan color to it already, a kind of cyan light blue. Look at what colors it ends up reflecting. Here, when it's adjacent to orange, it starts to look really bright green, and it's kind of taking more color from the green. Obviously, by the cyan, that's like its truest range of color. Look how different you can get this to appear when it's alongside some of the other colors, and which of the texture kind of really pops out and what fades into the background as we go. And suddenly you have a really different range of fairly diverse materials. Likewise, if we do something like that with sand, the sand is going to have a slightly whiter color to it, but once again, once you get into certain ranges of color, it's going to represent the color less well than it does the whole yellow spectrum, which is already kind of where the sand is sitting in terms of its natural color, right? It's got a fairly like dusty white yellow kind of feel to it. So not only is the color of light that you're adding to the scene important, but the material you choose to reflect that light is important. And there we go. There's the reset again. That's sort of dawn and dusk reset, where it has to think about what the lighting engine is doing again. And as natural light creeps into the scene, you'll notice that these colors start to fade away a lot more as dawn breaks over there, and the whole scene here gets lit up by, first of all, that very red dawn light, and then, of course, the nice kind of natural white light that follows afterwards. You'll find that the colors start to fade away, and what we're left with is a completely different range of mainly blue, because the red is there's kind of being pulled out of the colors on either side, and the whole range of colors from these lights softens and becomes a lot more subtle. You can still kind of see it down this end in the pink that's being shown off in the sand there, and a little bit on the red on the side, but then a lot of the blue tone is being lost from the middle of the sand, and likewise, you can sort of tell the difference between the blue range down here and the greeny yellow range on here of the warped wood, but again, a lot more subtle. So naturally, naturally, you're going to get the best out of these colors in darker areas, but if you want to just do a little bit of tweaking to the lighting of a scene and just imply a certain color palette, almost as subtle as the change in biome colors between shades of grass in different biomes, I think you could use lighting in some very subtle but really effective ways in Minecraft RTX. And I hope you guys have enjoyed taking a look at some of this stuff along with the Ocean Monument raid. It's going to be an interesting landscape for us over the next little while, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Minecraft RTX has to contribute to that. But for now, that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Minecraft RTX Survival. My name has been Pixlriffs. Please don't forget to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.